Okay, good morning, historians, and welcome to On This Day in History. Now, that song you were hearing to begin your day is Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. More on that later. First of all, apologies for this issue of On This Day, which was supposed to launch yesterday, but due to technical issues is launching today. So on this day in history is actually on this day yesterday in history, but just for today. And there will be a second post this afternoon for on this day in history. I hope that makes sense. So what is on this day in history? On this day in history takes a look at all of the historical events that have anniversaries each and every day. Now I say all, I obviously couldn't cover every single thing. So I am cherry picking a selection of particularly interesting things that happen on this day. And I will pick of that particular list one quick thing to take a deep dive into. So this is a great way of just realizing how much actually happens on every day. Every day is an anniversary of something, and history is happening all the time. Now, the theme of On This Day in History is going to be this great quote here: history happens twice because people don't listen the first time. Love that quote. So, on this day in history, let us begin. It happens every day. So here's a short look of what happened today. On this day, the 6th of May. Well, in 1840, the world's first adhesive postage stamp, known as the penny black, is first used in Great Britain. Why did I choose that? Well, this was, if you're familiar with the saying, the greatest thing since sliced bread, this was the sliced bread before sliced bread. An self-adhesive postage stamp was unheard of. How convenient. What an amazing invention. We are living in the future. A stamp that sticks to an envelope. I suppose people were more easy to impress back in the day. On this day, the 6th of May, the German airship, the Hindenburg, exploded in New Jersey. Now, this is what was known as a Zeppelin. It was another form of air transportation, an alternative to airplanes. This disaster killed 35 people on the Zeppelin and 1 person on the ground, and is thought of as an example of why the Zeppelin immediately became unpopular, despite the fact that there were plane crashes both before and obviously after this incident. If you want a little bit more information onto that, type in "Oh, the Humanity" onto YouTube, and you can actually look at it if you're into that sort of thing. Also on this day, this athlete by the name of Roger Bannister was the first person to run a sub 4-minute mile, to break the 4-minute barrier. He did so in 3 minutes 59.4 seconds up at Oxford. Now, it was one of those things, it was considered impossible for a human to break the 4-minute mile until Roger Bannister did it. And why do I say it was impossible until he did it? Well, his record was broken just 6 weeks later by an Australian runner called John Landy, who cut the time to 3 minutes 58 seconds. And since that time, hundreds of men, and they are all men, as no woman has yet achieved this feat, have run the distance below the magic 4 minutes. So many hundreds had tried. It was impossible, cannot be done, until it was done, and then 6 weeks later, someone else did it. Okay. The current world record, which was set in 1999, is 3 minutes and 43 seconds. That is incredibly fast. The fastest mile currently run by a woman is held by Svetlana Moskova with a time of 4 minutes and 12.56 seconds, which is pretty close to the 4-minute mark, which was considered impossible. So essentially speaking, this means someone is running at an impossible speed. Whether you're male or female, it can be done. Now, we're not going to get into all of the reasons why no woman has broken this particular record because, one, that means no one's done it officially. We don't know who's recording their training times. And two, due to various societal factors, there are many, 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 many more thousands upon thousands, perhaps millions of male athletes training for this around the world, giving men a much greater chance of doing it. And then, of course, there's the whole genetic makeup, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to get into that. But the fact of the matter is, I can't run in 4 minutes and 12 seconds half a mile. So just keep in mind that's very, 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 very fast. Now, on this day in 1966, that song you heard at the beginning was by the Rolling Stones, and they released this song called Paint It Black. And I've decided to take that as the deep dive for today. So this particular song, it is written by from the viewpoint of someone who is depressed. The song is all about he wants everything to turn black to match his mood. Now, supposedly, Mick Jagger, when he was asked, you know, why'd you do this? I don't know. It's been done before. It's not an original thought by any means. All depends on how you do it. So there are many, many songs about depression or feeling down, but this one has stood the test of time. Legend also has it that it was inspired as he was going down the street in a taxi, and he saw a house with a red door, and he thought, that red door doesn't really fit on this street. Every other street has a black door, hence the lyric, I see a red door and I want to paint it black. And that phrase, paint it black, became the song. So imagine if that particular person had in fact painted their door red, black instead of red, this song may not even existed, just so you know. Okay, now this song has an interesting history. It's often associated with the Vietnam War, even though that was not the case at the time it was released. So remember, it was released in 1966. Vietnam is going on, but it wasn't about the Vietnam War. It wasn't a protest song. They didn't perform it at concerts. You know, this is going out to the troops in Vietnam. Nothing like that. However, it did become the theme song for a TV show about the Vietnam War that ran from 1987 to 1989. So this is, you know, a good 21, 22, 23 years after the song's release. But they saw Vietnam War on TV, they heard this song, and straight away, oh, that song must be about the Vietnam War. It wasn't, it never was, but what people see on TV, that must be real, right? So, last few little quick facts about this song. It's also used at the end credits for films like Full Metal Jacket, which is another Vietnam War movie, and another early 1990s movie called The Devil's Advocate. I've talked about how it was used for the theme song of Tour of Duty, and because of that particular association with the Vietnam War, the recent Ken Burns documentary about the Vietnam War also uses this particular song as a sort of throwback or callback to that earlier series. It was also, if you guys recognize it, it might have been from Call of Duty, Black Ops 3, or perhaps the trailer for The Mummy. It's also featured in the TV series Westworld. If anyone is watching that, it's been used in a few different episodes for that show. Maybe if you've seen The Last Witch Hunter, which congratulations, you must be the only one because that movie made no money. But anyway, in 2015, it was also used in that. So this is just showing from 1966 to 2015, that's nearly 50 years, and it is still being used for all sorts of things. Now, in terms of the Rolling Stone, the magazine, okay, which was named after this band, the Rolling Stones. So the magazine is different to the band, but the magazine has a list, the 500 greatest songs of all time, and Paint It Black is ranked at 176. Okay, so it's one of the greatest songs of all time. Maybe not the greatest, but it's one of the greatest. However, according to another particular music publication, Acclaimed Music, it is the 79th most celebrated song in popular music, which means it is the 79th most often referenced, most often covered, most often used for movies, commercials, things like that. Which when you think about how many songs get released each year, throughout all of history, and this is still 79th, more than 50 years later. That's pretty impressive. And in 2018, the song was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Not the band, not the singer, not the writer of the song, the actual song itself was inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is pretty amazing. Okay, so that brings us to the end of On This Day for today, which is actually yesterday. So I hope you have learned something. If there's anything in terms of the topics of today that you want to know more about, take a quick screenshot, take a quick notice of the On This Day, and you can look into those particular events for yourself. I suggest a deep dive into the Hindenburg. That's an amazing, amazing story unto itself. And of course, the chase for the 4-minute mile and why it was thought to be impossible, why so few can still do it today, and what the future holds. And of course, I will also post a link to that amazing song, Paint It Black. All right. I hope you have enjoyed this edition. Stay tuned for this afternoon's second edition of On This Day. And I hope you are feeling historical. Have a good day, guys.